The French family is made up of three, Kent, Michelle, and Everly, and has decided the time is now. We are 9 months into our year of full-time travel. We have left fast-paced careers in broadcasting and entertainment, decided to world school our 8-year-old daughter, and packed up our lives to travel the world in an effort to live life to the fullest.
Come with us on our podcast as we chronicle our journey around the globe, bringing you stories of Frenchitivity, which includes the 3 pillars of possibility, creativity, and tranquility, and ultimately learn what drives others to live life without a net.
On today's Frenchitivity Podcast, we discuss the importance of the proactive mindset.
If you really want something, or you really want to do something, or be anything, let's figure out how we make this happen. And it's a proactive mindset. We work towards these different goals that we have. And I think also it goes into the gratitude mindset as well. We know there are people that have more, have less. We don't compare. And that's one thing we teach the kid. We don't compare, and we cheer each other on. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm genuinely happy when I see other people succeed because I believe I can succeed in whatever my hopes are.
Meet Brendan and Jade, who have traveled ever since they met and have continued to see the world with their 2 children, Hunter and Lexi. Listen as they unveil how they've woven in the importance of world culture and family time into their daily lives and why it has strengthened their family core. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe to the Frenchitivity Podcast on your preferred platform. We hope this conversation inspires you.
Kept Michelle and Everly spreading Frenchitivity all over the world. This entire family creating possibilities all over the world. Frenchitivity, possibilities all over the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Frenchitivity Podcast. Kent and Michelle with you from somewhere in the Pacific Ocean as we continue our travels here around the world. A trans-Pacific cruise, I think I said that right, as we go from Japan back to California. And we love staying connected with like-minded people. And as we bring in Brendan and Jade, who are kind enough to join us, and we sent out a DM, their profile came up, and we're like, these people, we need to meet these people. They're in line with a lot of things that we do when it comes to family, with travel, and trying to lead a more fulfilled life. So guys, we can't thank you enough for joining us from North Carolina. We have connectivity. Things are working now, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. And as we roll into this conversation, it's kind of exciting too, because we don't know a whole lot about you. So we are extremely excited to learn your story, and especially about why travel is important to your family. And Michelle loves to kick these things off. She's got some questions talking about our pillars, and she runs things anyway. So we're going to let her go first.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to get to know both of you better. And Frenchitivity represents a few things. It's creativity, positivity, and tranquility. And we find that travel really syncs up with those 3 things quite well. I wanted to go back in time a little bit so everyone can understand a little more context around your desire to travel. So when did travel become important to your family, and how do you use travel in your lives to spend more time together?
Sure. I think probably from the very beginning, when we met each other, we, instantly started traveling together. We found it was easy. I think, when you meet somebody originally, you start a relationship, traveling together is a great barometer to sort of figure out how you work in all sorts of different situations. And, it's always super easy for us, and incorporating the kids into travel is, has also been pretty easy. And they're good travelers. They're kind of easygoing, when things come up, and so it's actually created some of the best family moments that we've had.
Yeah. I think the mishap kind of are bonding, if you get stuck in a hotel room together or our flights get canceled. And I feel like traveling isn't perfect and it gets you out of your comfort zone. And I think those moments bond us as a family the most. Like we think back to them, and then, we've made friends on our travels too. And I think the globalism surrounding our friendships is really cool. I think that's actually some of the coolest memories our kids will have, are taking pictures with their friends and their friends' hometowns, or our family members, where Brendan's from, his family is German and Polish. And so actually getting to see their roots, it's cool,
Love that. Yeah, thank you. I think that one of our guiding lights also has been just that, exactly that we're global citizens, and that we love we're from, and there's so many beautiful things. And also, can we have a greater understanding? So we're traveling with our 8-year-old. How old are your kids now?
13 and 15. So we have a rising 7th and a rising 10th grader.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. Now, speaking of their grade in school, throughout your travels, have you done long segments of travel where they haven't been in school consistently, or how has your travel pattern worked for your family?
We've never gotten to the point that we could really do that. I think the longest trips we've done are month-long trips with the kids, and the school is flexible to pull them out a little bit, but we've never been at a point, and you guys are brave. We've never been at a point where we've tried to do the kind of the whole school year abroad sort of thing, even though it's something that
We've talked about.
I think if they were a little younger, it would be easier, but they're at a school that's pretty rigorous. It's an international baccalaureate school. It's a lot of international students there. They've gotten sort of the age that pulling them out for too much makes it hard on them to recover when they get back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Socially too. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. I was just going to say socially as well, a certain part.
Yeah. I was going to say they did go to Peru for part of their school is they do travel with the school. So part of it is they don't want to miss their school travel trips. They're going to some pretty epic places and doing things too. So I think that's part of it. They're like, hey, this is actually part of our school curriculum as well.
That's amazing. I have follow-up questions to that, but I want to follow up on one other thing quick. And then I know you've got some questions. Brendan, you even mentioned a month. And I know American culture, typically, for us at least too, is like even stringing together actually a week or 10 days without, feeling behind or feeling like there was, that was something that wasn't attainable. So I think people listening, even saying, well, a month is still a very long amount to travel. So maybe touch on that a little. Like, how would you be able to structure time, with school age kids, with work, with social life, all of that? Because part of it, I think, is we want to continue to inspire people and sort of change this thought process that you can't possibly get away for more than a week, 10 days. So even a month, talk to us about that.
Sure. I mean, I think we're really intentional. I work in medicine, and we're really intentional about the types of jobs that I take. I've done 1099 work for the last decade, so I can schedule those trips and those gaps, as long as I do it far enough in advance and have some kind of like-minded people. So I work with 2 colleagues right now. We're balancing trips to Europe and South America, and we're going back to Germany. And so all of us are kind of balancing our trips with each other to try to make it work. I think you just have to be very selective. I think there are some jobs I could have taken where none of this would be possible. So, you have to, and I commute pretty far to work. I mean, I commute 80 miles to my job, but it's the type of job that I can be off from for half the summer and never miss a beat. So you make sacrifices in your home, the time that you're home, in order to be able to do the traveling.
Yes, you do. Yes. Thank you for highlighting that there's still sacrifice in this lifestyle of choosing travel. And intentionality, I think, is such a beautiful word. Perhaps what we're learning a lot about, that with intention, there's so much we can do, but we get caught up in that cycle of life. And so just to take a little space to make those decisions, it's a beautiful reflection on what's important to you and to your values.
I agree.
Yeah. Last summer, we did something that I think a lot of people would consider crazy, is we went to Europe for 3 weeks, I think, and then flew home for 2 weeks because I had no coverage. I had to work. And then we went right back to Europe when that was done. And a lot of people around, in our area here would think that that's crazy to go to Europe twice in one summer. But for us, it was totally natural. It was the reality of how, work and travel have to balance.
I just went, we're in Europe. We're like, this place, we'll stay here a little bit longer. And being flexible, and also understanding that, we had our flight canceled, and we watched a ton of other tourists freaking out, how to get home that day. And, we looked at each other. We're like, let's take the voucher, stay a few more nights. Let's have a nice evening. So I think being flexible and assuming that flights will get canceled, assuming things
Yes.
happen. And when it doesn't and everything goes perfect, we're just, oh, that's cool. Like, but I think you have to go into it assuming that it, you might be stuck here an extra day and being able to deal with it.
Could be fun.
Yeah, it's fun usually.
Could be fun. You never know. Could be fun. I love that.
Yeah, having that flexibility is huge. I think you mentioned intentional as well. And when we re-enter, I guess is what we're calling it, when we go back, we are talking, it's a constant conversation with us. We're going to be very intentional with the careers and with how we go back in. So we do have that time and we're able to spend the 2 or 3 months. I know this whole year thing has been terrific, but I don't know, how that fits into our lifestyles and our careers moving forward. But certainly the intention of having that and that in the back of our head is something that we want to have. And I wanted to ask, when was the first trip for you when you incorporated the kids into that, and where did you guys go and what type of length was that trip?
Do you think I would say not? Was
it the islands or
Franklin?
Arizona?
Arizona. It was Arizona. Yeah.
You got to work around break. So we took spring break and we took the kids to Arizona for a week. We did what we would consider some pretty wild things. We camped. We rented a truck that had a tent on top of it, and we drove out into the deserts and
All piled
into one little tent truck. The kids, I think, they were much younger then, and just I made a pretty wild itinerary around Arizona, and they just saw what we could do. We took them hiking in the Sedona. We, probably didn't bring enough water on that trip. A lot of adventure. We made an adventure out of things that maybe didn't need to be adventures, but everybody just takes it in stride. And so you take smaller things like that and you build on them in bigger adventures, and you see what you can accomplish as a family.
We were looking at their photos last night, and I said, "Why every photo, Hudson, or he's doing some silly face or something, and I'm behind him like this, or I'm almost falling off a cliff." I'm like, well, every situation where, or hiking the Grand Canyon, like, look over here. But I think I've gotten used to over time, more comfortable with, okay, we're going on a hike. We'll probably get lost. Yeah. And we just get better and better at it. I think you get better at laughing at situations. But I think also we read each other now so well as a group. Like, it's like we have a team. We travel, everyone's aware of their surroundings. And I think you probably see that take your child on these trips. They understand, they're not thrown off by things as easily, and everyone has strength traveling. Everyone knows, who's more directionally challenged in the group. Me. Everyone knows, who's probably the most positive in the group, but everybody also eats anything. You have to be
Huge.
Yeah. So that actually, I think the biggest thing is our kids are pretty good about eating, anything, and so are we.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Well, and some of those skills you have to wonder sometimes, right? Like, what fed what, right? So yeah, they're good eaters, but you've also put them in that environment, and they're resilient, but that's because you've also put them in that setting time and time again. And like you said, we get better at it. We get better at different things. And sometimes those are micro improvements and sometimes they're macro. And by the time you were just doing your thing, you're like, I don't even know where this started, but you really probably curated most of those aspects through travel. I'm curious if you have any highlighted moments of that, like if you've noticed things that your kids handle in a resiliency kind of way, or maybe a social way that you believe are a result from open-mindedness in travel.
Do you think anything?
I think we're in a sort of a unique situation because about a third of their classmates are from other countries.
Yeah.
So I think what they've become is, number one, like really understanding of language, understanding that, not everybody has English as their first language. Not everybody is going to communicate or think or approach things the same way as you do from North Carolina in the United States. And, I think that they're able to talk to and be empathetic with just about anyone, because I think they understand people are coming from different places. That helps a lot. And I also think, we talk about the logistics of travel, and, we've made a rule that you can only bring what you can carry on your backpack.
Yeah.
So, just having that understanding that you have to be a little self-reliant. We have our kids pack their suitcases, unpack them, manage themselves. Oftentimes we'll get 2 hotel rooms and the kids will have theirs, and they'll be in charge of everything over there. And just a lot of life skills that they're, put in situations they're put in that require them to get better at life.
I think for me, Lexington, our oldest, she was very quiet when she was younger, very quiet, reserved, kind of pensive. And, I really saw her character, like what a strong individual she was on one of our trips. We basically were pulled out snorkeling. We're pretty much, I was like, oh, we could drown. So, and Lexi was, I'm like, we're not going to get back in. It's pretty dangerous out here. And so Lexi instantly took off her mask, got on her mat. No, didn't even think twice. Okay. We're both we're going to swim over there to the rocks at this in the situation. And I realized she is very good in stressful situations, remaining calm. And so with Hudson, I've seen him in similar situations. They are able to think quickly and to not stress, to not freak out, and to problem solve. And I think it's partly their school and their travels, but they problem solve so well. And afterwards, it's not a traumatic event. It was, that was interesting. What could we have done differently? The way they look at things. And it's such a healthy mindset. It's a growth mindset. And I think it's really cool. I'm seeing them as these humans who I'm learning from a ton, because I was way more scared than she was. And I'm learning, how can I grow from this situation when and it's really their attitude that caused me to that.
And that snorkeling story was a little funny from I was snorkeling with Hudson, and this boat went right by us. And I said, who is this guy who's driving his boat right through all these snorkelers? Like, this is so dangerous. And then I realized that he was going over to rescue my wife and daughter. I get it. I'll give you a pass on the help. Oh, geez.
By the way, Lexi's a really good swimmer. She was like a champion swimmer at 4 years old, and I was the worst swimmer in this situation.
Who is this guy?
Wait, who would dare do that?
Hey, hold on. Where were you?
Yeah, where were you for this snorkel?
This was in St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Lemon Cay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. A place I've snorkeled
a million times,
Yeah. Well, I think that is a wonderful, it touched on so many aspects, that our children are such a mirror. They are, like you said, when you can see them in that way of these wonderful tiny humans teaching us the lessons, we're like, wait, I thought I was, oh, no. It's definitely the other way around. And those kinds of moments and situations that take you out of your comfort zone, whatever that actually is anymore, really reflect that. So yeah, I'm glad you're safe. Thank you for sharing that story.
So one thing we're learning is we've been fortunate to meet families that are either on short travel or long travel. Some are, a couple months, some are 6 months, some are a year, some are doing it full time. And what they kind of resonate what you guys have been talking about with your kids, and just the growth that they've seen, the socialization, that meeting other kids, putting in certain situations, and how they've really grown and become these little mini adults. And we're excited to see when Everly goes back to school, how this experience is going to translate in the classroom, and see how that growth has really, affected her. But I wanted to also know how involved have Hudson and Lexi become when it comes to travel, when it comes to where you want to go, what they want to do, or how those conversations as they get older and now they have this international school and what you're doing. This must be a really interesting dinner conversation about where you guys are going to go next.
It is. They
throw it at them.
We kind of do throw it.
Throw it at them. It's probably the wrong answer. We're like, here's where we're going.
We're going.
And Lexi and have been reels of places. I'm like, doesn't this look cool? Doesn't this look amazing? I think we should go there. And that's usually how it kind of,
Sell it, mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
sell it. Yeah.
they're so easygoing. They're like, awesome.
And I think they're really respectful
Yeah.
and kind of grateful too. I
Yeah.
think they're very careful to never be like, oh, I don't want to go to the Virgin Islands again. You know, because I think they understand kind of how that sounds.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's you know they're really grateful for their experiences and their trips that they've been on. So you know, they're pretty much up for anything.
They like the surprise.
Yeah,
They're
they love that.
very into, like, so they trust us. They're very into, and they'll mention if they want to go somewhere or do something, but they love family. You know, that's like their favorite. So if we go on a trip and we visit other family members or we see other friends, that's like their favorite trips.
We've done situations where we've been somewhere and we've gone to the airport to go home and we take them to the gate and the gate is not home.
And we go somewhere
It's another destination. And kind of, we tried to film it one time, but just kind of getting that little, watching the clockwork and be like, oh, we're not going to North Carolina. Like, nope,
And
we
they
got
were confused.
we got another week. You know, why would we go home?
They were like, wait, what? I'm so confused though. So why are we stopping here?
Yeah.
But yeah, done stuff like that. So they actually like surprise. They like the element of surprise. We do a lot of surprise stuff. And I don't know. I think I like watching the reactions. You know, like I like surprises in general. So like birthdays, we decorate their room, even though they know it's coming. It's still exciting to get the balloon
Yeah.
on trips.
They do the reveal, they
Yeah.
get out to the door and all that. You
The
know.
trips, though, I think what I like is always in the back of their mind. They're like, hey, we could be told we're going to Europe right now, and we could actually be doing something totally different. And I think actually the element of, and they know there's a reason, and it's always good and fun. And so I think they're kind of like in the back of their mind waiting, like maybe this could be a big surprise, but we'll ask if it's skiing or something. Sometimes we'll say, hey, what's your favorite place to ski or this or that? But usually their responses are, we like these places, but we're open always to you. Yeah. They're like us. We're just happy to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's so many layers there too, with just the mindset, the attitude, just the seeing things in this like positive, fun light, and you know, really continuing to celebrate that. So with element of the prize, that kind of keeps them, you know, happy in the moment, and it's just these like additional drops of joy that are
Yes.
still within like a happy situation and keeps like everyone's energy really high around it. I think that's very beautiful. And I'm curious if anybody, do family have favorite places? Sounds like anywhere they see friends or family, but do you have a highlight place?
Germany, probably. And then,
Well, I would say probably the islands. You know,
probably.
when we met, we both had a history in St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Jade used to spend
A lot of
summers
fun.
there, a lot of time there with her family growing up. My parents went there for their honeymoon. We went there several times as kids. So, you know, it was a place we both had a lot of familiarity with. We started traveling. We got engaged there. You know, the kids love it. We tend to, that's one thing. We're not afraid to go back to a
No.
place. I think a lot of people feel like they've got this bucket list and this scarcity of, you know, I need to check all these boxes and go to all these places. I think we're kind of we look at where we are in that moment, you know, where we want to be. And that's one of the places we keep going back to.
Yeah.
We're going back this summer.
Special, yeah.
And it's special for us. We tend to stay in the same Airbnb when we go there. So it's kind of like a second bedroom that the kids have spent a lot of time in.
Yeah.
Their cousins have been there, their grandparents, they've spent time with a lot of special people in this place.
They attach it to those memories. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You still have tradition even within like a travel context. There's something familiar.
I think that's actually a really good point. There's tradition that we make traditions wherever we go. You know, we were in Ravensburg, Germany, and we either made kind of, okay, like, you know, we get gelato here, we play our games here, and we create kind of.
We went in Ravensburg, Germany. We had a couple days left of the Europe trip. We just started browsing through Airbnb, found this really cool Airbnb in this town we'd never heard of. So we went there and we just had the greatest time. We went and no travel blogger would ever say this, but we went to the same restaurant 3 nights in a row. And And it was so good the first time. And the four of us had 3 different dishes. So we had 12 dishes at this restaurant over the course of 3 nights. And every single one of them was fantastic. But we tend to try to find home in certain places and also kind of see how other people, if we go to a small village, like that, to see how other people live, that this is their home. And I think we have and the kids have a good understanding of that too, that you're visiting a city where people live and you're going to someone else's favorite restaurant in their hometown. And, it's not just about you as a tourist, you're experiencing where they live.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to go more about, sorry, go ahead.
But I just, tradition, that was a really good point. We're challenged that both kids have birthdays that tend to fall during their spring break. So we're often planning remote birthday celebrations with decorations and we have a couple traditions around that. We sprinkle confetti over their heads if they wake up in the morning. And so we try to not miss the beat on the tradition, even if we're away.
Well, it's important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Family core obviously is huge with you guys. And that's something that, again, we resonated with us as well. And, travel brings families together. Mostly good. Sometimes you have some things you have to work through in confined spaces, but I'm glad you brought up the birthdays because I know that you have a poster that you guys put together for your kids that reviewed the year, and being able to speckle in these travel moments into that poster and look back at what, you did with your kid. How has that affected your 2 young ones when they were able to look back at this poster and say, wait, I went here, I did this, we were together here. I mean, that must have an incredible impact for them.
We'll have it in their room.
Yeah, they have
it in their room still. Their birthdays, it's past. Brendan actually also, in addition to the poster, he makes books, and his brother Jordan made videos of their family trip. I mean, his family and is really awesome at the videos and the books, and mine did posters. And I think for them, looking back, they love looking back at the photos, and it brings just a memory to it. And you can see it on their faces oh, that was so much fun. Oh, I forgot this happened. Oh, I've never even seen this photo. And I think for them and all these places they go, it's you can kind of look at it and tell it's overwhelming with gratitude. And for us too, looking at it, I think it brings us back to the feeling of gratitude. Yeah. And it's something that, in daily busy life during the school year, we have to remind ourselves, when we look at these photos, and we also get tourism, tourist books or stuff for places we go, smaller towns we go, because it's easy to forget. Oh, I went there and look how cool this was. Or it's everything you think you're going to remember, all those cool moments. But you have to have some sort of tangible photo or something to look back on or smell or feel. And for us, it's the pictures, the same for the kids. They like to just look through them, actually.
And that was probably our biggest motivation for even starting an Instagram.
Yeah.
Was to just categorize. I mean, nice that people look at it, but it kind of categorizes your own memories, and we could just look back through it, and it's staggering sometimes.
Yeah.
Kind of all the things we've done.
Yeah, it's cool.
I have 2 comments and one's a question on that. And I think that before we started recording, we mentioned something about Instagram, and I was just wanting to point out again to shine a light on the positive aspects that can be reflected in social media that you can catalog, and it's something your kids can look at. And it, we were talking about this with a group the other day, and we're like, if we don't document the moment, did the moment happen? Of course, right? Of course the moment happened, but how do we have some sort of reminder of that, something that helps other people see what's possible? And at the other side of that we wouldn't necessarily be able to connect with like-minded people as in the same kind of way if we weren't able to share some of these aspects on social media. So I think for us too, having young ones wanting to make sure that their experience with social is as positive as possible. Thank you for shining a good light on it. And for any creators that are putting travel and positive, wonderful things out there that expand our world. So I think you've identified another really positive aspect of that. So yes, just wanted to acknowledge there's some positivity in social.
There is. And I think of it this way too with social media. I was really nervous about putting things out there because you know how the comments can be. But I looked at it and I said, okay, I'm going to put out things I would love my parents to see, my friends to see, their teachers, that anyone that saw this, that it was something that most people would go, hey, that looks awesome. That looks good. That looks healthy. And I think with that mindset, we've had such a positive response and realizing there's so many more people out there like us that are, they want to see the good in life. And I think that makes it worth it. Having even family and friends comment and saying, I remember that. I was great. Look at oh my gosh, I'm in that picture. Oh, it's cool. It brings people together.
I think for a lot of creators, I think the core of who's watching your content is still the people you see on a daily basis in your regular life. And so if you can't, you're exactly right. I mean, if we're not putting things out that we don't want Lexi's friends at school to see, because they all follow our Instagram, but we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the people that have been following it too. With it, and the more positive you put out there, you get a lot of really positive followers.
Yeah.
And I think that's been nice too. I mean, some of the comments have actually been pretty uplifting.
Yeah, they actually do. I think people need to know it does as content creators. When we see a message or a DM and like you guys sent us, hey, we're doing a podcast, it makes us happy. We think that's awesome. Everyone loves, being told they're doing something right in the world. Like, that's a good feeling. And for us too. So
yes, absolutely. And part of that, exactly, like, we said at the beginning, like, positivity is one of our, core values. And we don't mean that in a, we don't mean that in a like bypassy way. It's not like everything's always so positive. We mean it in a, like, how can we find wherever we are, people who are inspiring, that have these positive, uplifting stories and like celebrate what that is. Because if we do that, then we're all in this better space of like being positive about what's possible and expanding what that means for us. So yeah, thank you for saying it that way too. Like, how cool that we could all be positive and share good things and then we all feel better. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice.
And something we want to do as we, come to the end of this journey is be able to inspire and maybe help people that are on the fence, push them to take this journey. And that maybe is extreme, but certainly to go out and spread their wings, especially be with family. Have you seen, I think you've touched on a little bit, but have you seen other people come to you and say, wow, I see how close you guys are as a family. I see how you travel. How can I do this? Like, what, have you seen people kind of start doing more of that after watching what you guys are doing?
Yes and no. The other side of that is that you also see a lot of people say, well, I could never do that, or our family could never do that. And, it's great that you guys can, but I only get so much PTO and, my kids are picky eaters or this or that. And so you do really also get a sense when you put this out there of how many kind of internal barriers people are dealing with.
Yeah.
And some of them for sure are insurmountable, but a lot of those barriers are surmountable. So I think we do spend a little bit more time explaining how we can possibly go to all these places, and answering questions like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys do too. How do you go on this, epic journey, for a year? But it's a great conversation to be having with people.
Yeah. I think it opens it up. And in my own family and friends, I've had friends and family go to different places, maybe that we've been or recommended, or I have had people tell me, I wanted to take this trip. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to do it by myself. I'm going to go. And so within my own life, I like hearing that. I like also hearing my friends say things like, hey, I've been going through this or that, but this gives me hope. I could do this. Like, if you could do this, I could do this, because I'm not, we're normal people. And basically it's just making a commitment saying, hey, we want to go here. We want to do this. We want to explore this. Now let's look at how to make it possible. And I think we go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to do this. We want to go here. How do we make this happen? Then we go backwards with, setting a plan in motion.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Self-induced roadblocks is kind
Yeah,
of what
the
they call it.
internal.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And we set it out in that way of like, well, actually, if you just think about it this way, and it's just a different way of thinking. It's just a different way of prioritizing. You mentioned family often, which I love. So it sounds like close with family and friends, and it sounds like they've been supportive. So I was wondering if you might just reflect on that a little bit of just what your experience of people being supportive and how you found when you're traveling, your desire to connect with other people, especially for the kids.
Yeah.
Well, we had family travel with us
Yeah.
frequently. My sister lives in Munich. So, on some European trips, that's a great starting and ending point. And so kids get to see their aunt and that's great. We've had your parents, your sister, my brother, travel to different places with us. A lot of them were travelers too. My dad, works in China half the year and travel all around. And so he's kind of been inspired by it a little bit.
He's been traveling.
In the last 5 years or so, he's done a lot of solo travel, rented vans, places, in his 70s, just, running around. I think he got to the point where he realized, I'll just tell them I'm not going to be working next month because I'm doing this. And at his point, he's able to do that. And so, we're planning a trip in October or September to go to Oktoberfest. And my sister and her partner are going to give us a table. My dad's going to be there. We're trying to get, family around their dinner table, in Munich. So the family is, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes people are more in different places and traveling different and doesn't always connect. But we when it does, we like to make it connect.
Yeah, we try to make a point. Yeah. To see people.
And then it enhances that actually. Everything you're describing is like you actually see family more or see family in their in their home environments or your dad being inspired by what you're doing. So again, we just keep kind of dispelling things, right? Of like, it's like, no, this actually is best for your whole family. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very inspiring. That's right.
Do you guys have a sense of how many countries you've been to? How many different places you've been to?
Many places. I personally, I don't know. I don't usually even know what day, but
They do have a map upstairs with pins.
we have pins.
Yeah, you too. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Taking that step. I think we've only been to 3 continents.
I think, yeah.
I think North America, South America, and Europe. We've never been to Asia. We've never been to Australia. I mean, there's certainly,
We have a
a
lot
million
of
places that we haven't been to.
Oh, yeah.
So
We always say the list just gets longer, not shorter.
Yeah.
And it's okay to revisit. It's like very
Yeah.
complicated. You can revisit places you love, but then the list also gets longer of where you want to go. It's the more you travel, like the longer the list. It's just, it's a big world. It's a very big world.
I look at it and I saw this thing the other day and it was how many summers you have left and this, not. And I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, I never think like that. No.
No.
I do not. I know. And it's the same thing with how many years you have with your kids. And I said, no, I look at it as limitless, endless. And I think that attitude that we have of, oh, we're not going here this year. Okay, we'll go next year. We'll go another year. For us, it's whenever we feel like the urge to go to that place, we will absolutely make it happen. And for us, I think this year, we said, I don't know why, we want to go back to the islands. We want to go, we'll go there twice. Okay, awesome. And it sounds silly and it sounds wild to people, but I'm like, no, you go, go on vacation or you travel. And then you say, I wish I could go back to that cafe. It is the best feeling being able to say in a couple weeks, I will. I'm going to go back there and go back. And it has this glass is overflowing feeling instead of glass half full, glass half empty. No, overflowing. And it's an abundance mentality.
that's a great way to say it. And you've never said that. That's a great way to say that.
But
I like that.
You've taught me how to live with the feeling of abundance. I'm like, just in our daily lives, silly things that we say that limit us, of not having enough. And also, I think it makes the kids live with the abundance mentality, but it's also in congruence with gratitude.
Yeah.
So you actually need less, and you're just happy, like you're more content in the moment, and you're able to live in the moment.
And I think there's something to be said, but if your goal is to really spend family time and bond, there's something to be said for, you know, going back to a place because you don't feel the pressure to see all the sightseeing things, everything, you know, you don't feel like these are my only 3 days in this city.
Yeah, that feeling.
So I'm going to focus on that, and rather than focus on just us living as a family in a different place and see what that feels like.
Like Puglia.
Puglia was, I'll tell you,
Puglia, Italy, and
we got this Airbnb that was out in the middle of a plum farm.
Yes, it was
farm.
No,
It was free. Yeah, and so but it was out there. I mean, in the middle of the field, and there was nothing there. There was a pool in the backyard, and Italy's funny because, you know, everything closes from noon to 5. I mean, everything closes. Gas station closes. If you're out of gas, you're in trouble. You got to wait till 5. And so we did this funny thing where we didn't really change time zones. We stayed on our time zone, and everyone just kind of rolled out of bed at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Yeah. And we'd, you know, go and hang around by the pool a little bit, relax, have some breakfast. And then, you know, everything opens up in the towns around 5. And so we'd go and, you know, enjoy all these towns, and we'd pick a different town each night and kind of, you know, just eat dinner and walk around and enjoy it. But no one was tired at 10 o'clock when we came home. So we would come home and hang out together till like 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we are in middle of nowhere. You know, with none of the digital entertainment and this and that. We're doing puzzles and we're just hanging out. And it was, I think it was years of family bonding squished into like 2 weeks in this.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a wild experience to just, you know, be up till 3 every night with your kids.
Just like your kids. Okay. You'd wake up and you'd be like, the sun is shining.
I love that. Well, and it's right. Like some other families we've talked about this too, that schedule again, like even when you say you're kind of like, oh, but like you do in the moment what works for your family wherever you are. And that is not in comparison or contrast or right or wrong to what a normal schedule at home looks like. There's the experience around that is exactly what you described. It isn't this like expectation of we have to model it like this. Like, no, absolutely not. Like we're in a place where we're changing time zones. We don't even know what time it is. Like just do what works in that moment with your family and flow with that. Like if we resist that, that's when we get all, you know, all turned upside down. If we just go with what's feeling good, it's, you know, it makes it
go with the vibe. Yeah.
Go with the vibe. Yes. Yeah.
What I enjoy about all this too is you mentioned bringing family along and Oktoberfest, everything that's happening. And you really you've establishing groundwork with your kids. I mean, how to be able to continue. I mean, hey, it's cool to have mom and dad around later.
Yes. I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Be like,
showing them.
Yeah. Like
it's along later.
I think that's neat. I'd love to see how that works and where you go as a family later and how you guys grow into other situations together. I think you've established this incredible groundwork that a lot of us envy, you know, to have your family go with you and be cool for as long as you can. You know, I think we all hope that our little one wants to be around us, you know, as long as she, you know, wants to. So I think that's very cool to listen to what
you're with that.
And I'm not sure, and you might be honest. I mean, I think our kids do very much want to hang out with us.
Yeah.
They would much rather, and it's, you know, they'd much rather hang out with us on a Saturday night than invite their friends over or go to a sleepover. And, you know, and maybe it is because of all these bonding experiences going on. I never really thought about that, but
it's the bonding experiences. I think it definitely is. And I think, you know, in thinking about kind of the future and stuff, like my interests go back to anthropology, and I loved the idea of communities. And I believe that like so much in my heart that our communities just grow. So I think we kind of preach, quote unquote, like, hey, like as our family grows, as your friend group grows and this grows, like we all adjust and we learn new things about each other. That's awesome. And it can grow bigger and bigger. It's okay. And then also accepting, like I told them, hey, at any point, on a holiday or this and that. If you're here or there, do not ever feel like you have to come back to this. We can come to you. We can adjust. And I think letting them know, like, you've spent all these years coming with us. We'll come with you when you're going to invite us along your journey.
Yes.
So I think it's being a part of each other's journey and not just be what we want to do on Christmas or this and that. Like, if you have something else, we'll adjust. We'll do something else. So I think we're okay with adjusting too.
Mhm.
Like, I don't really have an expectation of them when they're older, except to just allow us to come on their journey. And sometimes, if they're available, to come on ours. And I think it keeps, when you lay the expectation as, hey, like, whatever works, people come together easier because it takes the pressure off too of what they have to.
And we hope they do this with their families.
Yeah, we hope they do this with yours. That's like the hope,
So that we'll have
Right.
grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Imagine the places you'll go. It's amazing.
Right?
Exactly.
I love that.
There's nothing selfish about these whatsoever.
Nothing at all.
No,
Nothing.
not at all. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yes, that's beautiful. And the community aspect kind of makes me think of something else we were talking about earlier as well. So I really like that layering in, and like it's a give and a take, right? You come with us and then we come with you, and we're all learning together. In community, we have found that to be really an amazing learning experience for us, of the times that we were like, this is a time for our family and we are learning and growing and being together and exploring. And then moments where we're like, we need support, we need community, we need additional input to this experience to help, kind of make it even more concrete. So I was curious for you. You mentioned the kids have friends kind of all over the world at this point through school, but also through travel. But how you found that as you're traveling, you're this tight knit unit. We're good. We don't need anybody else. We're good. But those moments where you're like, actually, we want to expand and know people where we are. Just to speak about that a little bit, about how you've kind of oscillated between we're the family unit and we're bonding, and oh yeah, by the way, also, this is a beautiful community. We'd like to meet some people.
We talk to people. Yeah.
We talk a lot. I think that is actually an area of growth for us
Yeah.
in the future. I think, as the kids get older, less and less of it is about their logistics, but more and more of it is about, interacting and talking with them. They'll sit down at dinner and have a 3-hour conversation with you. And so I think we do tend to get wrapped up in that a little bit. And we met friends in Innsbruck last summer and had a nice evening with them. We stay in touch with people we meet when we go, but I think that is an area for growth. I'm loving this conversation actually, because we've not done this before, and I think
it's fun.
It's really fun having talking about these issues that we're all kind of facing.
Yeah.
We talk to people. I think one thing that I told Brandon I'm going to try to start this year, I'm really making more of an consistent effort to reach out to people more. Because for me, it's really easy to go, for a period of time, be like, well, the kids have this going on. I had this going on. And one thing I really like when we travel is we'll just get in conversations with people we've met that day, or we're hula hooping once. And someone's like, oh, let's do that. Or the kids are playing soccer on a beach and they play with other kids. And when we were in Austria, we're down by a lake, and almost like, oh, people look, oh, kids, okay, families. Hi, what's your name? I think people, depending on the space, we actually do actively look for places to visit that we feel we could connect with people. And so we do look for those spaces to go to too. But Austria was really friendly. We look for very community-based spaces. Islands are a little bit tougher because most people are traveling for tourism specifically. But having spent so much time growing up there, with my family there a lot, I do have connections still back in the islands. And we do meet people on vacation too, which is cool, because that's part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an area of growth that we need to
keep building
explore.
that
Yeah.
community. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I wanted to also circle back a little on the abundance mentality. I appreciate that you reflected that. And I think Jade, you even kind of said, oh, you've really sort of taught me about that, Brendan. So I'm just wondering if you just would speak to that a little, like how you integrate that into your daily lives, how you mentioned you are trained or are talking about that with the kids too. So maybe just some thoughts on the abundance mentality.
Cheers with that.
I mean, I think it's easy once you've traveled a lot and gotten different perspectives and met different people to kind of come home and look around and realize that, a lot of the people around us are afraid of not having enough.
Yeah.
And it impacts their mental health, and it impacts their decisions, and it impacts, really who they are. And, we always try to find reasons why we can do the ideas that we come up with, as opposed to reasons why we can't.
Yes.
And it's always like, it becomes perplexing to me sometimes to have conversations and people tell me all the reasons why they can't do something. And I try not to be argumentative, but it just doesn't fit in my brain somehow. So the other side of it is that we end up being quite busy. I mean, if we are looking at, do we get another dog? Of course we get another dog. We have the bandwidth for that. We have,
and more wall space though for another picture.
a garden in the attic. We have a garden outside. Can we grow our own food? Of course we can grow our own food. No problem. So we do that too. And so, I think we do spend a lot of time. The abundance mentality is a little exhausting.
But it's so much fun.
But it's so much fun. And
it's so much fun.
And we almost never come up with a crazy idea that we don't do.
We don't live fear-based. So I think when I met Brendan, one thing that kind of changed with me is, I've always been a pretty confident person, and he's very confident, but he shuts down like he said, reasons why we can't do something. If you really want something, or you really want to do something, or be anything, let's figure out how we make this happen. And it's a proactive mindset. And I think the abundance and it's exciting. And we have, we work towards these different goals that we have. And I think also it goes into the gratitude mindset as well. We know there are people that have more, have less. We don't compare. And that's one thing we teach the kid. We don't compare, and we cheer each other on. Like, I am genuine. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm genuinely happy when I see other people succeed, because I believe I can succeed in whatever my hopes are. And that's what we teach the kids. If you believe in yourself, then you also should be so thrilled for other people.
For other people.
Yes. And I think that's part of the mentality and the idea of why not me too. Positive light, when someone says, oh, I did this or that, I could do that too.
I could do that too.
I believe you build your own luck. So, and I think
I think it's easier to work hard when you feel like you're working to accomplish the things that you want to do, as opposed to working hard out of fear of not having enough, or fear of not keeping up with the neighbor next door and the brand new car they just got. And, there are so many things that we can instill fear in ourselves over. But I have no problem going to work when we're, when it's to accomplish the next, couple of great ideas we have. It's easy. It's kind of fun. And I think I see a lot of people at work that are kind of looking at it the other way. They're using their retirement calculator and saying, oh, I don't have enough, and it's disheartening. I mean, so I think we just try to avoid the fear-based.
Try to live in the moment.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And what fuels that? It's almost like what you're saying too. It's when you really can celebrate gratitude and abundance mindset, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you kind of keep that energy going and then the result happens and then it keeps going, and like he's looking at it in a way of like, we often ask ourselves to what end? Okay, we have to say, but like to what we're doing these activities, we're doing this thing to what end? And if it aligns with what we're like oh yeah, because this is the next great idea. This is the big picture. Then like, I'm all in and all the energy, and then things start turning. If we can't answer that question, to what end, then that's when we have to be like, hang on, we need to reevaluate what this hustle is. Like, what is that all about? Because it may not be to the thing. And then when you align all those, so like you said, just being in that more like, what is my vision mindset versus out of scarcity or because everybody else is doing it or whatever the other things layer in. It's just very interesting that, and this is what we have found through travel as well, that you can have those conversations and find this like-mindedness that is not always around us. And it's sort of our curiosity, like, what's up with all of us? Like, why can't we just have more of this thought process and be around people who have that same mentality? Because then it just excels what everyone's thinking about. If you have it, I can too. How'd you do that? Oh, so cool. Let's do it this way. Like, just sparks so much creativity. So thank you for sharing that and for being, in this space of putting that kind of energy, into people's lives. I think it's important.
I hear the phrase mental health. You guys have brought it up a couple of times. I think basically I was going to ask a question about that and how you're instilling and helping your kids and yourselves, but you basically are just creating all these tools for yourselves and for your kids as you go through this process about positivity, fulfillment, doing things because you want to, and cheering on other people. And it's such a cool thing to hear, especially in this grind society that we live in, that these are present and that they can, especially your kids can go back and have, real life experiences that they can go back and go, oh, wait a second, it doesn't have to be like that. This is how it was. This is what we did. So kudos to you guys. Yeah, we're learning as we go here too. Like, fantastic. I'm trying to be, cognizant of our time. We keep talking. So this is awesome. We keep going and going. So we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but I do have just I don't know if I call it a logistical question, but I heard you earlier talk about you only take a backpack with you.
Oh, yeah.
It's been in the back of my mind because we've had some serious packing chronicles
and
that
it's
we've
the number
dealt
one
with.
question we get. Number one question when we meet people and say how long we've been traveling, they're like, how did you pack for that?
Like what? Yeah. So we've sent so much stuff back. Granted, we were on this great trip, but we've sent stuff back. My mom has got a room dedicated to us. We've sent cases, boxes, whatever else we've bought and created on the road. How do you do that did I hear that right? Is it a backpack per person?
One backpack.
One backpack.
Yeah. And we let Hudson, though he's going to graduate. His backpack does have wheels because he started when he was like 7. So he go on his back, and I see, our first trip together, I always had an Osprey backpack, a 55 liter, and I bought one for Jade right before we went to your uncle's. We went to Turks and Caicos for your uncle's birthday, right?
Then we went to BVI's directly from this backpack.
So we look at photos of like you the first time you like put the backpack on with all your stuff in it. We have learned, but it's always one bag. It's always carry on. Even if we're staying for a month, we don't check anything. The only thing we'd ever check would be ski equipment, but kids have to pack what they can carry.
And so I've gotten more relaxed about it. Initially when we were traveling, I would write down like every single thing that we're packing and make sure everybody has everything. But then I realized, was it that serious bringing the bug spray that I had gotten bug spray here? Okay, maybe it was 50 cents more. You know what? If I remember when I go places, okay, they have things. If I really need something, if we're going somewhere more remote where I'm going to need to pack, though we've done that before, then I'll think a little bit more. But usually I've noticed I'll wear the same sweatshirt almost every day. Good pair of tennis shoes. You're going somewhere nice, a pair of heels or flats, but keeping it simple and having things that we can mix and match with outfits, things that dry fast, stuff like that. That's the probably easiest part of it. And I think the kids do that too. Like things that we can layer. Probably the number one thing to pack that I will not skimp on are comfy things. Like I will always bring it. Doesn't matter if it's 100 degrees. I know I need sweatpants. I know I need cozy sweatpants. I know I'm going to break a pair of sunglasses. I know things I'm going to end up buying no matter how many times I try to pack it. We've actually packed food before in suitcases, and I realized like that ended up actually causing so much back pain that was not the best idea of packing like 100 tortillas
Yeah.
at one time. I mean, we've learned. We've done some silly things. And then also the makeup part of it. I've realized as a female, okay, like what do I actually wear? So I will pretty much consolidate it down to that. Or my skincare products. I only need a couple. You realize you don't need that much. The more you travel, the less you need. We're the same. I mean, no one's judging if you wear that shirt a couple times. That's totally fine.
And for Hudson, it's like, make sure you bring enough shirts.
Yes, yeah, for
If you can't wear that shirt the entire time.
The whole time.
You
A lot. Yes.
The other side of
Whole
it.
time.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, there's both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that it is symbolic to a lot of things, actually,
Yes.
isn't it? That like, how much do we actually need? Why are we wearing the things like? And there's a time and a place, and we've certainly had moments on our long travel where I'm like, oh, that is the best. That would be nice to like really get
Yeah.
ready and wear that fancy. Like that's so great. But then like, and just practical right now, and not what we're going for. And that's okay too. But realizing what we really need. We packed as a very over prepared. We have a lot of lessons around packing and around learning what is available other places. Again, it's just expanding our knowledge of like, they do have things other places.
Michelle's the queen of Ziploc bags. We
I
had about
bought everything
50
you could-
Ziploc bags in this giant suitcase.
She is the queen of 4-ounce bottles.
Oh my God.
Everything that own.
So that's part of the problem too. The kid, like Lexi, she jokes, she says, oh, everything I get is like this tiny mini size.
Yes.
Yeah, and like, well, I have to be able to travel. But actually, I do buy things that I can travel with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's all-
Yeah, it's great. You can buy another, refill it. We buy the big one. We just refill the little one. It's like we have a system. Oh my goodness. I mean, we
Thank
could
you. Yeah.
keep talking to you for hours. This
So
so
been
delightful.
fun, yeah.
It's been fun
Yeah.
and inspirational and
all those
informational.
things. Yes.
And yeah, we really can't thank you enough for sharing your energy, your story, your positivity. And wow, I can't wait to meet your kids someday. They are
Yeah, thank you guys.
They
That's
special.
early too, and doing this so early. I mean, your time, I know it's like trying to figure out time zones. You guys have been so wonderful, and not having spoken to us before, we could have said some crazy. Well, maybe we did say something. Right?
Or reset. I mean, I just keep staring at this
Is he-
awesome dog behind you.
The George Washington dog says it all. We're like, they're going to be great. They're gonna be
It's
great.
such an impulse purchase. This is our son right here.
He bought it's a Yorkie, like George Washington. We have a elderly Yorkie. We have like the degrees on the wall, like some serious things and photos. And he's like, look, it's Yorkie Washington. We could put this in the office. We're like, yes. And now it's above like,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
it be right there?
Why
I
wouldn't it?
love it. It was your qualifying decor. We're like, they're going to be great.
Fine.
Perfect.
It's all going to
Gonna be
work
fine.
out.
like, no. Thank you guys
Um,
for having this so much. This has been really fun. It's been fun.
Yes.
Been fun.
Then we'll obviously from like the social perspective, we'll put we'd love for people to follow you and keep, an eye on what you guys are doing too. And again, they can draw inspiration. If they're not following you already, they should, because it certainly is inspirational, bring some happiness to them as well. So again,
Great.
thank you for the time. Thank you for doing this. And we look forward to following your travels for years to come.
Likewise.
Likewise. Thank you guys. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Yes.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Hi, you reached Kent, Michelle, and Everly French. We're unavailable right now, but please leave your name and number at the tone, and we'll get back to you real soon from somewhere around the world.
Kept Michelle and Everly spreading Frenchitivity all over the world. This entire family creating possibilities all over the world. Frenchitivity, 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 possibilities all over the world.